Hi, everybody. Welcome to Happy Hour Live on Brews Sports, a Thursday edition of the program and a hot and heavy day here in the sports world. We welcome you inside our studio for our final bit of programming today on this Thursday. We hope your Thursday is going well. We know the weekend is almost here. And, of course, people are already having so many things to either potentially celebrate or go to the bars and drink about already because of NFL free agency. But we're going to get into that in just a little bit. But we welcome you inside the studio. Of course, myself, Baxter Colburn, alongside the wonderful Teaka Griesbach. Teaka, good to see you. Welcome back to Brew Sports. We missed you yesterday.
Thank you. I know. I missed you guys, too.
What were you doing with yourself yesterday? What could possibly be more important than helping me host Happy Hour?
Just work.
Just work, she says. Come on, Teaka. Priorities.
I know.
You need to tell your boss, be like, listen, have you not heard of Brew Sports?
It's the most awesome thing.
We can come do a live broadcast at your work. We could just do that. We have the technology to do that. We could just, be like, listen, she's here, but she can't work. She has to help host the show and talk about The Bachelor and everything else that we have to talk about. Well, we are excited to have all of you along for the ride today. A reminder for you, as the broadcast is going on, of course, give us your comments and thoughts below, and also share the broadcast as well, too. Let your friends, your family, even your enemies, for gosh sakes. They all need their sports knowledge at some point, so hit that share button, of course, and let everybody know all the great things that we've got going on. And, of course, you can check out our website, brewsportsnet.com. You can follow myself at Baxter Colburn and at Teaks_7 as well, too, and use the hashtag BrewSports to interact with the broadcast as well. All right, Teaka, or Teaks, or I don't know. I got to come up with other things for you. Teacup was another one? I mean, that makes sense, I guess. Tiki.
Yeah. There's a bunch.
I guess so. I mean, I just got like Baxman, Baxter. I don't know. Dexter. People just would be like completely left field and be like, I'm just going to call you Dexter, Maxter. My favorite is when people spell my name Backster, like your actual back, and then stir. I'm like, you didn't even try.
Yeah. What?
I'm like, Bax. Like, there's an X in there.
Clearly.
Baxter.
What the heck?
But I think maybe depending on how you say it, they're like, oh, Baxter. They're like, oh, there's clearly an X and an S. I've even seen the Baxster. I'm like, I'm going to just go by B. Sometimes I just be like, my name's B, just call me B.
Works, yeah.
If it's like a loud place, or that's why I usually give like reservations or Starbucks orders to my wife. Be like, Liz. Nice and easy. Just go with Liz.
I've made up names before.
Do you do the whole made up name thing?
Melissa.
It's things that are easier to say, but then the awkward thing is when that other person, across the bar has the same name for you, and they're like, oh, Paula, and you're like, me, and they're like, oh, which Paula? Awkward, and then you just don't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah.
All right, what is on tap today for us, Teaks? A couple of different things rolling along. We talked about this story yesterday. You were not here, but you had at least a brief comment about one of the things that Nike's doing now for its Muslim athletes.
The new hijab, and I think that's awesome.
I think it is too. We talked about it yesterday. It's kind of this new, Nike technology that they've got going on that allows these Muslim athletes to basically have better breathing, I guess, in terms of their bodies because of the Muslim culture. But I think it's a beautiful thing. I mean, I think Nike has done an absolutely bang-up job with what they've got, this line that they're doing. So my hat's off to them completely. But do you think this is going to be a trend now? Are we going to see other big brands like Adidas and Puma and Reebok also kind of joining the party here now that Nike's started to dive into this?
I think so. I mean, I feel like that always happens when a new big thing comes out, or, a major company comes out with, something awesome and really popular. I feel like other companies usually follow and try and one-up them. But
usually they do. I mean, I guess I don't know enough about some of the other cultures out there to say, well, now that we've got the hijab, what else do we have?
Yeah.
And I feel like, and maybe this is me not knowing, I guess, is one hijab different from another? Like, is Adidas is going to be better than Nike is? Like, is it going to have the whatever microfiber wicking technology or whatever the weird stuff that they throw nowadays in these in your athletic yoga pants and all that other stuff? I think Tiffany's applauding you on Facebook, by the way, for going with Paula, I believe, or as a possible name that you can use. So thank you for that one, Tiffany. We appreciate it. I mean, I don't think I've used Michael. Michael's the only name that I will use sometimes as a second name. Otherwise,
it's whatever easy name that comes to mind right away for me.
And then I'm never
where
quick enough on the gun to be some weird not innuendo name where you say when you say it all together really fast, it's like, oh, you said that. I'm never I'm with people sometimes, they'll be like, oh, it's this and this. I'm like, did you say that? Okay, I guess so. But I don't know. I guess I'm just not in that situation often enough. Usually I'm just like, whenever Baxter or Colburn or whatever, just take my table, give me my drink.
I've done it before when I was with a group of friends, and I just I didn't tell them I was going to do it. I just told them a different name, and they all kind of laughed and looked at me. I was like, guys, just go along with it. It's easier. Yeah. Especially if there's a lot of people and it's really crowded, and I'm just trying to be quick. It's just easier.
It is. It makes so much more sense.
What's your name? How do you spell it?
Or you give them just the absolute most ridiculous thing to say, like, oh, my name is, Paulina, whatever, the third, and be like, what? And then they shout it out, especially at Starbucks, too. They just don't have a darn clue with what they're saying out there. Just like, oh, Greg? Is that with 2 G's or 3? Like, whatever. Just give me my drink. I just want to move on, basically. I don't know. It's kind of funny, though. Some of the other things that we've got going on here, today's National Meatball Day. Happy National Meatball Day. Have you had any meatballs yesterday?
I actually had some yesterday,
really?
Which is really funny.
You're a day early.
I had some, and I don't eat meatballs a lot.
So you missed happy hour to have meatballs at work. I'm seeing through your plot and your evil plan now here.
Right
basically.
Before I went in, I had a short break, and so I enjoyed some meatballs. But I did work. I promise. I did work yesterday. I didn't just enjoy meatballs, and I didn't know that today was National.
Were
Meatball
they
Day.
Swedish meatballs?
They were not.
See, the reason I bring this up is if you missed any part of the show the last week, or earlier in the week, rather. I think it was when was this? Was this on Tuesday or Wednesday? I forget. I think it was on Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday. Was it the Lisa Davis thing or was it Arthur the dog? I'm confusing now.
Arthur the dog.
Arthur. So that was Monday. So Monday.
Oh my goodness, can't keep my
we
days
talked
straight.
about how these super athletes basically do this insane trek around the world.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they had with them was Swedish meatballs.
Yeah.
And they're like paddling for 600 miles. They're biking for 45 miles. They're trekking for
Have to bring small amounts of food.
250 miles. And we're like, why would you bring Swedish meatballs? That's not my first thing. Granted, they're from Sweden. So, within Sweden, I guess you bring the meatballs. But I guess I don't understand, though, that, if I'm trekking through the wilderness, meatballs, as wonderful as they are, I don't feel like they're going to keep. You can't be traveling fairly heavy with a cooler and be like, oh, got my meatballs. And have you ever had a cold meatball?
No,
they're not enjoyable.
Yeah, it's just very strange to me that that's what they would think.
It is.
But that's what they fed to Arthur.
And Arthur, I'm sure, is a better dog because of it now.
Yeah.
Sweden's got great health care as well, too. So more props to you, Arthur. Team that almost needed some health care today was the Michigan basketball team.
Do you fly planes a lot?
I fly a couple times a year. Do you fly a lot?
Yeah. I mean, I like to travel, so it just depends on, when I can, when I have time off, whatever. Sure. But I try to. And my dad lives in Florida, so.
That's true. You're going to Florida soon as well, too, which I'm super jealous about. I'm trying to get to Florida. I'm trying to go visit my family. I promise I love you, Mom. I'm working on it, but it's Brew Sports, okay? Got stuff to do. Got to talk about the sports world. Maybe I'll do remotely. Teaka and I can do a remote broadcast from the beach or something on a cabana. Be like, we've got margaritas, like, woo, kind of a thing.
That would be fun.
Then Facebook might yell at us, though. Be like, "What are you? You're having too much fun. You can't have that on Facebook." No, Facebook is weird like that sometimes. But
have you ever felt unsafe on a plane? Have you ever thought, like, oh my gosh, we're going down?
I have honestly had some really strange experiences where the worst thing that I hate is when you're flying and the plane just goes.
Yep.
And you're just like,
that's scary.
Like, this is it.
Like sometimes if it's just a small amount, like I'm pretty, like I've flown a few planes before, I'm usually fine.
Yeah, I mean, I've flown for the last, 10, 15 years of my life.
But sometimes
totally used
they're
to it.
huge.
There was one, I think was I flying to LA or flying to New York? I don't remember what it was, but we had it was a good 5-6 seconds, and I'm like, this plane's never going to stop. Like, we're going. Like, this is it. Like, I'm like, no, like it was like there was enough of this drop that they must have just been like descending, but or even that first like descent when all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're gonna start to land. Like if you're like not paying attention, all of a sudden the whole plane just goes. You're like,
whoa, what's going on?
Like what is going on? Or like when they bank suddenly or something too to like make a big turn and like you're basically parallel with the floor for a short time. You're like, what is going on? Like too much. But I said this morning on the Morning Brew with Jamie. I said, I am never more religious with my life than when I take off and when I land. I am always like, I'm a Christian. I pray a lot. Like I do devotions with my family on a daily basis, but there's something about takeoff and landing on an airplane where you have virtually no control about anything going on. And I always say a prayer before takeoff. I'm like, keep us safe, like, get us there in one piece, basically, like something, short and sweet like that, basically. But I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it's a superstitious thing. I don't know what it is, but I always say a little prayer. Just like I gotta do it. And,
yep.
I mean, I feel better about that. Yeah, I feel more relaxed about that when it actually comes to that. But still, it's.
Can you imagine being a pilot?
I don't know if I could actually.
I feel like there's so much pressure on you. Like once you fly for how many years, you know what you're doing and you're confident in what you're doing. But still, knowing that many people on the plane.
And it's such a small thing too. Like the cockpit itself is ridiculous, but like the controls are like, okay, let's turn, let's turn. I don't know if I could do it, honestly. Well, the reason we bring up airplanes is because the Michigan basketball team had their airplane slide off of the tarmac today as they're getting ready to take off. Now, I've heard of airplanes sliding off of runways as they are coming in, like, we overshot the runway. I love that one. Like, we missed the runway. Like, how do you miss the runway? Yeah, literally one job, land the plane. Come on, get it together. I don't understand.
Well, it was because of wind this time, wasn't it?
The Midwest, the last day and a half has just been ravaged by like 50 to 70 mile an hour winds, and I can't blame them.
I was walking back from class, was it yesterday or the day before, when it was super windy, and I honestly thought I was going to blow away. I was like, I don't know if I could keep walking.
Yes.
The wind's going to take me. It was that windy. I was like, oh my goodness.
Tiffany makes a strange point here on Facebook. She says, go to IKEA for the meatballs. IKEA has meatballs. Tiffany, you need to explain more because now I might need to go to IKEA. I've actually never been to an IKEA. Sorry, I don't. For those that may be offended, I bought that. Tiffany also says yes, margaritas are on. Like, let's do it. Let's do the Brew Crew here at Brew Sports. We need some margaritas. Ian says, margaritas. Go Big Blue. Absolutely. Jamie says, shout out to Swedish meatballs. Apparently, Tiffany says, yeah, check it out. Apparently, IKEA gives meatballs. I mean, Sweden, of course. Makes sense. We do what you got to do. But I don't know. I don't know if I would ever do that. But Ian also says, and to kind of conclude the Michigan story, he said they had to play in their practice gear due to the incident.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Strange.
They got there just in time.
Brew also on Facebook says IKEA has the best meatballs. How do I not know about this? I need to go to IKEA now.
I haven't been in a really long time. I think I went when I was younger with my mom, but I do not remember meatballs.
That's the strangest thing. So Tiffany and Brew have the inside track here apparently on IKEA meatballs because, but my question is, do you have to assemble the meatballs? Because everything in IKEA you have to assemble, and it's insanely hard. So I wonder, do they make you cook your own meatballs and give you the strange directions, and you're just like, I don't know what to do with all. You always have like 12 extra parts, and you're like, what do I do with all of this? I don't know. I guess that would be my only concern about buying food from IKEA. Like, well, they're going to make me cook it myself. Like, if I'm going to go to IKEA, I want to just eat it and go and be on my way.
Right. I don't know. I've never heard of it. Fun fact. Good to
know. Greg says, yeah, so this morning, Bloody Marys. Yes, we were talking about Bloody Marys this morning. The afternoon, we just have the malarkey with meatballs, of course. Jamie says, you don't know who Notorious is. I'm not surprised you don't know about the meatballs. What do you mean I don't know who Notorious is? Notorious Biggie or whoever is that? Was that who it is? Because Biggie died
what I think of.
20 years ago. I didn't know. Jamie showed me a music video after we got off the air today, and she's like, yeah, Biggie. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know who you're talking about. Like, I seriously had no clue, and I still don't, even after watching that video for a brief moment today. I don't know. Tiffany says, someone get Baxter with an X, IKEA meatballs. Yes, Baxter with an X. Big X. Bax. There, Baxter. All right, we should probably get to our guest because he has been just a swell person to just hang on the line here as we've been waiting to bring him in. We are going to bring in one of our many talented and exciting NFL correspondents on the program, Greg Schwartz, to help us figure out the craziness and chaos of NFL free agency. It is, I would say, the second most exciting day of the NFL season, aside from the Super Bowl, Greg. First of all, welcome to Happy Hour. Welcome to Brew Sports. What have you made of all the chaos thus far today on the official first day of NFL free agency?
Well, first of all, thank you for bringing in the NFL meatball after we talk about meatballs. I appreciate that. I can tell you that IKEA does have a restaurant inside the store, so you can get hot meatballs, Baxter.
Good to know.
Wow. I am learning so much today.
They also have a takeout that you can get cold packaged meatballs, and I believe that there is an instruction sheet on how to open the package. So.
It's at least a 5-step process just to open the instruction key, just to open the package, basically.
There you go. I tell you what, this is happy NFL New Year to everybody out there, because this is the start of the quote unquote NFL calendar. And man, what a crazy day it's been. We've had one player in Calais Campbell literally get almost hijacked by the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Agreeing to a deal with Jacksonville, and then all of a sudden Denver says, you know what, we'll offer you less money. Why don't you come here? And he actually thought about it. He did take the Jacksonville offer, the last that I looked, though.
Yes.
We had Cleveland, the team that brings you the closest thing to baseball-style, statistical-driven management, pull off an NFL, or rather an NBA trade today.
Mm-hmm.
We talked the other day about the majesty that is the former Houston quarterback who actually got traded now to Cleveland, and Cleveland has no intention of playing him. They're just going to either cut him or trade him. All they wanted was the second-round pick that Houston had to send along with him to make the deal.
Why not just do the second pick? I mean, why not just make a trade for that second overall pick? I feel like that would have just made life so much easier.
Well, they so wanted out of that contract. I mean, it just talks about what a horrific contract it was. John Elway all of a sudden looks like a genius because he gave up on his future quarterback, dumped him off to Houston. Houston gave him a whole ton of money, and now they're going, oh, my God, what'd we do? Here's a second-round pick to take the money away from us. Thank you. It's been goofy, and we're not even talking about the signings yet. Alshon Jeffrey just signed with Philadelphia in the last hour or so, or at least that's when it was announced. Apparently, the Mike Glennon, dare I say, mega contract for a guy who has played sparingly in 3 years is going to happen with Chicago because they cut Jay Cutler. Excuse me, I have a dog.
He has a thing or two to say about Jay Cutler, apparently. He's just like, listen here, I think Jay Cutler's a great quarterback.
Well, let me ask you guys something. Have you ever heard of a team that cut their all-time leading passer in yards, touchdown passes, quarterback rating, and come from behind victories, and the fan base is thrilled about it? Have you ever heard of that?
No, and I haven't, honestly. I mean, I think the best thing that you can say about that is welcome to the NFL, where the points don't matter and everything's made up, honestly. Like, it's just, you never know what you're going to get with NFL free agency and just the NFL as a whole. But I saw you making this exact same article today on social media, and people were kind of going after you a little bit, going, well, Greg, like, he's a bad player. Like, nobody wants him. But I agree. I'm one of the very few people, aside from being a Green Bay Packers fan, that obviously loved when Jay Cutler was a Bear, but I actually think that Cutler isn't, when you really break it all down, he's kind of like like what Shrek says. He's like an ogre. He's like an onion. He's got all these layers. When you really unwrap Jay Cutler, he's not a bad quarterback. He's got a strong arm. He's just kind of had shoddy luck during his career because of the players around him and the lack of caring that he sometimes puts on the field that people sometimes perceive as him just not wanting to be a part of the organization.
I believe he's had 5 offensive coordinators in his tenure, and maybe 6 now. Multiple receiver sets. How many different head coaches? I mean, if you want a candidate for worse luck in his NFL career, he might be the guy. And I totally get the angst with him. I mean, I'm from Chicago. I've been a Bear fan. You question the leadership with him, and then his team swears by his leadership. They voted him captain every year he's been there. So it's the enigma that is Jay Cutler. But as far as Chicago is concerned, it's up for somebody else to decide, to try to tap into that. Rumors I'm hearing now, the Jets are extremely interested, but I think they just want somebody that's basically capable of playing the quarterback position at this point. Lord knows what Cleveland's going to do now, like we were just talking about.
Yeah.
With they have Brock Osweiler, but don't want him, and RG3 might be on the way out. So, they're a hot mess. Although they've been one of the very active teams today building up their offensive line. They've made some significant signings today in that regard. And it's that, my own personal take, that's how you build a team, with the offense and defensive lines. So maybe they're finally figuring out how to put out a dumpster fire over there in Cleveland. But, we're seeing some of the dominoes fall with the quarterbacks, and now Jay Cutler is a free agent. Again, a very capable quarterback. Is he going to win you a Super Bowl? I don't know. Can he win ball games? Yes. The other domino that we've yet to see, and now with the Houston situation without Osweiler up in the air, is what happens in Dallas. Tony Romo, the rumor was he was going to be cut. There's rumors today he's going to be traded. If that's the case, Houston is probably the destination. So, which may also be why Calais Campbell, who thought about Denver as a possibility, Denver, one of the two teams that Romo could have been headed to, said, forget it, I'm going to go to Jacksonville. So, Tony Romo might be on the way to Houston via trade, which will surprise everybody all of a sudden again.
Yeah. Well, question for you, Greg. Kirk Cousins asked to be traded from Washington, but they're basically blocking him from leaving. What do you make of that move by the Redskins?
Again, it's the business world of the NFL that we all kind of grit our teeth at, but the fact that they did sign, I don't know if he officially signed his tender, but again, it's the politics of the NFL, that the Redskins do control his destiny, if you will. I suppose that Kirk Cousins could hold out, but the way economic values work in the NFL, holding out might not be the best thing for his career. So, the Redskins, I think, hold the cards, but at the same token, Kirk Cousins has shown his value in the NFL and would be an attractive target to, I don't know, Cleveland. But we'll see how that plays out.
And that makes a lot of sense, honestly. I mean, really, the free agent market, I feel like, is just changing left and right, obviously. So one time you think you actually know what a player is actually worth, and the next time you don't. And with this thing with Kirk Cousins, I feel like it's almost a disservice to what Kirk Cousins has done for Washington. I get it. You want to hold on to your players, but then don't franchise tag him. Give him an opportunity. Give him a contract that he at least feels a little bit more valued at, instead of being like, well, Kirk, you've been decent the last 2 years, but we'd actually like to just not trade you, and we're just going to completely void any sort of freedom or liberty you think you had as a player.
Exactly, but again, with the franchise tagging and everything that still exists, the owners do have some of that leverage, and that's what they're doing to control Kirk Cousins in this case. On Kirk Cousins' side, I see the issues. You're going to pay me this guaranteed contract with the franchise tag, but you're not going to give me any long-term stability. You're not going to give me a vision of my future. And oh, by the way, 2 of his top 3 receivers are probably gone at this point.
Yeah.
Sean Jackson, it looks like he's headed for Tampa, but you're not giving me anybody to throw to either. So all of a sudden his statistics could drop and devalue him down the road. So I definitely see his point, but he's kind of in a sticky wicket right now.
Reports are saying that Eddie Lacy will meet with Seattle, Minnesota, and Green Bay. Thoughts on where he will land?
Seattle seems to be a very interesting place for him. Minnesota, we talked about earlier in the week. AP, they've given up on, and yet they're shaky at the running back position. Jerick McKinnon just has not developed into the stud running back that they thought he'd be. Of course, Minnesota sees Lacy twice a year, as do the other NFC Central or NFC North teams do. So, they probably have a pretty good idea what he's capable of. Big thing for him that he has to deal with all of these teams, including Green Bay, has been his ability to stay healthy. So, it might be whatever the best deal financially for him is going to be, but I know some of the teams have to be a little nervous about giving him quote unquote too much money or too many years because of that fragile state that he typically has every year.
Absolutely. All right, Greg, good stuff. We appreciate you joining us today. Where can people continue to find your insight on the many different things taking place in the sports world?
You were talking the name game before. You can find me on Twitter at 3G_media.
Sounds good, Greg. We appreciate you joining us. We'll talk to you again soon, all right?
Thank you, guys. Take care.
All right, there goes Greg Schwartz here on Happy Hour as we continue on with the program on Brews Sports. A couple of other comments here taking place on Facebook. Big shout out to everybody that's been basically making fun of me for not knowing who Biggie is. Tiffany and Brewer letting me have it. Same with Ian. But Ian also says, who wants Osweiler? The answer is no one, not even Cleveland. Yes, that's 100% true about that one, Ian. Tanner says they essentially bought a second-round pick by taking Osweiler's cap hit. Not a bad move. I agree, Tanner. I think that if you don't necessarily know what you want to do with a guy like Brock Osweiler, I don't think Cleveland is necessarily the worst idea, especially with the fact that they're redoing their offensive line. I would like to make the argument that what you're seeing right now in Cleveland from an offensive line perspective, signing Kevin Zeitler, signing J.C. Treader, you're almost giving Brock a better offensive line than what he had in Houston, which we all know wasn't even that great to begin with anyway. So if I'm Brock, I may take a look around and say, okay, you guys just signed Kenny Britt. Now go re-sign Terrell Pryor, and maybe we actually have a little bit of an offense to work with next year. Granted, the running game I know is still a little bit all over the place, but at the same time, who's to say Cleveland isn't going to start surprising some people based off of some of the signings that they've been making? I mean, I've said it a bunch today. They've had $102 million worth of free cap space. Put that money to good use. And so far, with the players they've signed, I don't think you can be mad about that if you're a Cleveland Browns fan at this point. All right, Greg also says, what the heck is happening with Martellus Bennett? I don't know if anybody knows officially yet, Greg, what is going on with Martellus Bennett. We know that he signed a one-year deal with the Patriots last year, of course. Won the Super Bowl. Now he's going to try to hit the free agent market to see what his market value is. The Patriots traded for the Colts tight end Dwayne Allen. So they basically got the same thing in Martellus Bennett. Now they've just got a younger, more athletic version of him. So I don't think there's really any room for Martellus Bennett in New England anymore. So I'm sure he'll command a nice 2 or 3 year deal from virtually any NFL team. I would take him in Green Bay, especially if we don't re-sign Jared Cook. But Packers, of course, are known to surprise a lot of people with their actions on a daily basis. So we'll find out as more continues to happen and break. We'll keep you updated as well, too, on our end. We've even people in the comments have been tossing different news at us as well, too, throughout the day. So as we find out more information, we'll make sure to keep you guys updated as we wrap up the show in the next 30 minutes. There was an odd thing that took place yesterday, Teaka, in the NBA. No, nothing to do with LeBron. Sorry. No, nothing to do with Steph Curry. Okay, sorry. So virtually there's nothing left to talk about in the NBA. It's like, you're not talking about Curry, you're not talking about LeBron. Well, nobody cares at the end. But no, there's been this strange thing happening over the last year or two of sportsmanship and flagrant fouls. We saw Brandon Jennings a couple of nights ago pull a mock gun, like do the whole like gun symbol at a player, like through an argument, basically. Like there's a couple of guys like talking and he like did this, kind of like pretended to shoot him with a handgun here, literally, figuratively, as like a disagreement to him, be like, oh man, like get out of here kind of thing. Like it's not something that you do.
No.
And when I first heard that, I was a little taken aback by that. Brandon Jennings, to my knowledge, was always a very upstanding citizen. He played here in Milwaukee for a couple of years as well too, but when you hear that players are throwing, there's other examples that we're going to get to in a moment, but when you hear about examples of something like this, if you even just to play the parent card, so in the future you've got a kid and you hear a report from your teacher, your son was fake shooting kids in class today during an argument. Like, how do you as a parent, or just in general, how do you react to something like that?
Right. That's such a difficult position to be in, I feel like, because, well, first of all, you think, okay, that's so embarrassing. Like,
it is.
I hope they don't think I raised my son or daughter to
yes, exactly.
think that's okay. It's probably something, first of all, someone's going to think, oh, what are their parents letting them do at home? What are they teaching them at home? But it could be something they learn, from other kids that they see throughout the day, or, something they watch that their parents didn't know they were watching, or something like that. So it's a really sticky situation to be in, especially, as if you were their parent.
I mean, how many times do you see or hear about kids coming home and be like, Mommy, I learned about this today. I mean, Mommy, I heard about this, or what does this word mean? You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And my favorite, there's like, 6. You're like, you should know that word. How do the other 6-year-olds in your class know that word? It's like, and we know the word that I'm talking about, of course, or other words in general. Like, it's so strange.
I actually heard, this was a while ago, but I heard, I don't know if it was on the radio or something, but a story of I think it was a little girl that went to school and was talking about the weed that their family or parents were growing in their backyard. They just had a bunch of weeds in their backyard, but like she was saying it in the way that it sounded like they were growing weed at home.
Ooh.
And so I don't know if her dad came to pick her up that day or if they had parent-teacher conferences later on, and the teacher had said something to him like, what are you growing at home? Because she thought that it was actually an issue, but they just had a bunch of weeds in their backyard.
Well, that was...
So her dad was like, oh my goodness.
Wow. Yeah. Kids. That's why there was the TV show back then. Kids say the darndest thing. Well, it's true. They do because kids don't know. As a 6 or 7-year-old kid, you don't know any better. My mom always jokes with me that, even though I was homeschooled for the first 9 years of my academic life, that we had a stabbing at our high school at our homeschool day, and she makes fun of me because she's like, yeah, we were out doing whatever science class in the garden, and I was like 7 or 8 years old, and she asked me to go inside to get a scissors or get a knife or whatever so she could cut some of the veggies, and I'm like, yeah, I grabbed it and I gave it to her blade first, and I accidentally cut her hand. So when my dad got home, who we joked was the principal, of course, because when you're the only kid in school, mom's the teacher, dad's the principal, basically. She was like, honey, we had a stabbing at school today, and my dad was like, we had what? And she was like, and she showed him the cut. It was like, millimeters long, basically, but she was like, we had a stabbing at school. One of the students stabbed me. I was like, what the heck, Mom? I was like, what does this mean? So people think homeschooling is safe. It's not. Got to watch out for those stabbings, okay? Like, some crazy stuff happens being the only kid. When you're the only kid in your class, you lose your mind sometimes, okay? You're just like, I will not sit down. You're the best and the worst in your class all at the same time. There's no curve in that when you're homeschooled. Anyway, my tangent and rant is over.
That's funny.
So be careful. Anyway, the reason we're talking about sportsmanship and an issue, there was an issue last night. Markieff Morris got ejected from a game last night for kicking very poor and fellow Mason Plumlee. Some of the headlines that I've seen about this is that Morris ejected for kicking Mason Plumlee in the Nuggets, as he also plays for the Denver Nuggets. It was just kind of the run of play, everything looked like it was going completely fine. And then you see Markieff Morris get dished the ball, and then he kind of gets hit with a flagrant foul, and you see him just literally go right downtown on Mason Plumlee for really no good reason. There was really no reason to jump. There was really no reason to kick your leg like that. And it's just...
Who kicks your leg that high?
I don't know. And we can see this on the video, too. He's going up like he loses the ball. My first reaction after as I'm already jumping straight up is not to then basically kick. You can see, he literally just goes straight downtown for no good reason because his motion already had him going straight up. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm going to just kick for no good reason. That is, in my opinion, one of the lowest things that you can do
there are accidents, but
all
there's
the time.
that.
All the time, yeah. There's definitely, and I've been on the giving and receiving end of the accidental, you're running by somebody and you move your hand, you nick them, whatever. It happens. Right. I know girls don't have to worry about that as much because it's okay, whatever kind of thing. But for guys, obviously, we've got a little bit more to deal with, of course. But or you catch a ball or whatever. It happens. Happens all the time, but. And sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, but this is clear. He clearly tried to just go after him, basically. So it was a little crazy, basically, in that sense, for what you're actually hearing. So we can actually hear the video as well playing right now, too. There we go. We got it taken care of. I was like, something is playing in my head. The voices finally broke out. I can finally hear this rattling in my head. It sounds like defense. I was like, what? Play more defense? Okay, I'll do what I need to do. I don't know. When God calls you to play defense, you post up and you play defense, I guess. But sportsmanship. Talk to me about sportsmanship, because this is not the first time we've seen something like this happen. People reference the Draymond Green incident, I believe in the playoffs last year, where he did kind of a similar thing where, he made it look like, oh my gosh, I've been fouled, and his leg happened to move in the same general direction and take out a guy in the same area. And people were like, whoa, you can't do that. And I think he ultimately did get suspended, I think, for a game or two. It was in the finals, if I'm not mistaken. So what do you... I feel like, first of all, this damages your credibility as an athlete. I think it also, you make yourself and you make your team look bad, because it's like, oh, well, I don't want to play against Washington because Washington is dirty. They kick people, they punch people in places that you shouldn't do. Like, first of all, like, I understand fouls happen in the game of basketball. Fouls happen in every sport, of course. We know that. If everybody was perfect, there would be no fouls, none of that business. But how do you react to something like this, and how do you even combat it, really?
It's so important to remember, too, as an athlete, that you're not just representing yourself, you're representing your team.
Yes.
So anything you do reflects either great or poorly on your team. So I think that's something that, people really need to remember. And I feel like it happens a lot when athletes will get mad. They just blow up and don't. Obviously, I mean, there's so many examples of that, when people just, something happens and they get really mad about it, and then they do things that they shouldn't do. And I think that's one thing that athletes should work on as a whole, is just, things happen. You're going to get frustrated over certain things that happen in the game, but you need to remember to just calm down and not freak out about it, or you're going to, make bad choices and make your team look bad.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, this game was semi-close. Like, and like you were saying too, like being angry. But the Wizards were winning at this point in the game, 114-103. There was only two minutes left in the game.
Right.
It's not like it was a 1-point game and everything was down to the wire. And Marquise Morris had the game-tying basket that he was trying to convert, and Mason Plumlee got in his way. Like, that's not what it was. It was a flagrant foul that had no business of happening, and he
in this case it just looks like he is. Yeah, in this case it just looks like he is just being rude. It just looks like he is.
It is.
Hey, I'm gonna do this because I can, which is
it's not
insane. It doesn't seem. I don't understand why people would want to do that.
There's a lot of things that you can and cannot do. Like, I could choose to walk down the street and rob a convenience store. I have that choice to do that. He had a choice to kick his leg.
Right.
He really had no reason to do it. I have no reason to go and rob a store, but if I wanted to, sure, yes, I could go attempt to do such a thing.
You're just not. It's not the right thing to do.
Exactly. Like. And I feel like sportsmanship has been really lacking in a lot of ways, and that's why people get on me all the time for talking about Tim Tebow all the time, because I'm like, he is a clean-cut, smart, straightforward man that knows what sportsmanship is. And for those of you that are sitting at home going, well, Baxter, what does sportsmanship mean? The dictionary definition of sportsmanship, it's a noun in case you didn't know, is fair and generous behavior or treatment of others, especially in sports contests. It even says it.
Yeah,
in a sports contest. I understand sports is the first part of the word, but still, like, how often do we even hear people saying, I have good sportsmanship, like, oh, maybe, Jimmy got a better grade on his test than you did. Like, have some good sportsmanship, congratulate him, like, he did better than you, or you competed in pageants, like, you had to have good sportsmanship to the other gals that would win.
Definitely.
If you didn't, it's like, oh, like, yeah, great job, like, so happy for you, kind of a thing. Like, sure, you might be a little fumey on the inside, be like, I thought I did better, or why did she win? But you don't want to be known as that person that complains about everything.
No.
Nobody likes a complainer.
And it reminds me, I think back to like elementary school when we learned the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated. Same.
Exactly.
Another definition for it.
Exactly. And I love this too. If you go to reference.com and you type in, why is sportsmanship important? Somebody thought that was something that was important. If you type it in, I won't give you the full definition, but they say good sportsmanship is important not only as a practice of etiquette and respect in sports, but also because it helps teach young athletes good behavior that carries over into other aspects of life.
That's so true.
Boom. That's what that means. Other aspects of life. Good sportsmanship in all aspects of life, whether it's academic, whether it's in your relationships, whether it is even at church. Like, have good sportsmanship. Have manners. Don't be crazy. Don't, speak your mind. I mean, people say, well, speak your mind. Well, yeah. Know your limits, though. Right. Know when to say certain things.
Know how to speak your mind.
Exactly. I completely agree with you on that one. I mean, when you meet those people that have poor sportsmanship, you're just like, I'd prefer not. Greg brings up Dennis Rodman and Ron Artest are shaking their heads. Yes, I know, Greg, that they don't believe in sportsmanship, and that's why their careers were so long and illustrious, of course. Greg wants to know if David is producing the program. Yes, he is. David is doing a fine job, so shout out to our producer, David, for what he's doing. We appreciate you. Greg also says, I didn't know there were kickers in basketball. I didn't know that either. I mean, but if you watch some of the trick shot videos, people will use, baseball bats. They will use their feet. They'll use their heads to score baskets for trick shots. So I don't know. The game is evolving, I guess. I mean, they're talking about putting a 4-point or a 10-point line in for half-court shots. I don't know if you heard about this or not, that the NBA is seriously looking, at least for the All-Star game, of putting in a 4-point line or a 10-point line for, like, if you take either longer three-pointers or even make a shot from behind half-court. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
A little strange at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of that.
It's kind of a weird thing. I mean, how many times do you see sports as a whole trying to just get better? And I mean, baseball this year with all the different rules that they're doing with the international walk and trying to speed up games with the amount of time. If you here baseball, this is free for you. If you want to speed up the game, shorten the innings. Play 5 innings. Play 6 innings. Don't play 9. Nobody has enough attention span to go 9 innings in anything. That's why people come back at me. They're like, "Soccer is boring." I'm like, I at least know when a soccer game is going to be done.
Yeah.
I can plan 90 minutes of my life and be back and done. Be like, good, my life's over. For baseball, you're like, might be 3 hours, might be 5 hours, might be an hour and a half. What's the worst sport to plan for? It really is. Like, how are you supposed to know? For a football game, you're like, okay, 12-3 is a game, great. 3:15-6. There's another game, like boom, 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 boom. You move on. Life is great. NBA, for the most part, you know when that's going to be done. Now, beach volleyball, that's a little different, I guess. But, like, you know for the most part when games are going to be done, aside from baseball. It's too dang long.
I think soccer could be a little shorter.
Really? No, I'm not mad about that. I know that
You make a good point, though.
I am in the minority on Brew Sports. That I am in the hashtag minority of all soccer matters, all sports matter. But I get it. Tiffany says, this isn't Little League, Baxter. And Tiffany, I understand, especially since Tiffany is a hardcore baseball supporter. I totally understand that. And I knew, of all people, you, Tiffany, would be the first one to call me out on it, so I appreciate you keeping me honest. Greg gives us an update here, says, Redskins kicker Dustin Hopkins is getting a little nervous about his job. Yeah, it's true. I mean, with the way that Markieff Morris is kicking now, I mean, I feel like even the Browns are at this point are going, wow, we've got a little bit of extra cap money left. Maybe we'll sign you. Maybe you can make field goals. And the Seahawks are looking for a kicker. They got rid of Steven Hauschka, or maybe they signed somebody last year. I don't remember. The Seattle... if it's not Mason Crosby or Steven Gostkowski, I really don't follow many of the other NFL kickers. Just fun fact. Mason Crosby's my guy. Anyway. Do you agree with that, though? Like, do you think that baseball games should be shortened?
Yeah. I do.
That's 2 people, Tiffany.
Long.
We're coming for you.
No one sits there that whole time. No one lasts. Everyone leaves.
It's true.
Or they go and get drunk.
Baseball fans are always trying to be like, but those games, well, yeah. But those games, how many of those games where it's end-to-end action for 9 innings?
Not enough.
Maybe 10 games a year? They play, 165 games, 180?
Exactly.
I don't even know. It's 100 and way too many. That's all I know. Like, that's ridiculous. And I know I'm going to get calls. I know I'm going to get phone texts. Phone texts, yes, because I get fax texts as well, too. Like, I know that people are going to ridicule me for this because I always go on my baseball tangents. But, like, have a timer. Like, set a timer. Be like, look, guys, you can play as many, first, or even like set a run limit, or first team to this run limit. Or I like the whole 6-inning thing. I personally do. I'd be like, I'd go to baseball games for 6 innings because after inning 5, I'm usually just kind of like, I'm ready to be home.
Yeah.
I'm ready to be done. I've had my beer. I've had my brat. I've sang my songs.
That's true. And then it gets so expensive. I mean,
I've waved my wave.
You stay there the whole time. You have to keep buying drinks. And then it's like, okay, I don't
well,
have
of
any
course,
money
that's what they want you to do.
Well, right.
Don't fall victim, Teaka. The man's trying to work the system there, basically. Be like, buy more.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's terrible. It sucks. That's what you got to do because it's so long.
Exactly. That's why. See, look, that's another big argument against baseball. You have to consistently drink to enjoy the sport. What kind of world do we live in that we can't even, if your sport is so boring that people have to drink to tolerate it? You know,
there's some really angry people out there right now.
I should probably stop. I'm waiting for it. I guarantee you, my tires are going to be slashed when I get to the parking lot after we're done here. I think you've got a story for us, Teaka, to save me for a little while, to transition out of my baseball hatred. I will say I hadn't thought of the angle of drinking at baseball games to tolerate it until you brought it up. So I'd be like, guys,
don't
it's all
put this
Teaka.
on me.
It's all Teaka.
Everyone else is thinking it too.
Have good sportsmanship, Teaka, except the fact that you're around.
Anyways, Catherine Keith. Catherine. She does it all. Dog mushing to hiking to rock climbing.
Oh, okay, Catherine. I see you.
yeah, I don't think I would ever consider dog mushing. It seems too cold for me, but...
Is that a sport? Do you have to drink to enjoy that? No, it's a sport. I know it is. Sorry. Anyway.
Maybe to stay warm.
Oh.
Depends on what you're drinking, I guess.
Good to know. Good to know.
She was competing in the Canada's Yukon Quest, which is a 1,000-mile international sled dog race.
Ooh.
Which, yeah.
I enjoy a good dog sled race. Everybody saw Iron Will back in the day, I believe. That was a classic cult 90s movie, I think. Oh, okay. Anyway, you were saying dog sledding. Mush, mush.
Well, her story's pretty interesting. Most people play sports to escape from life.
Of course.
Or
Makes
just
sense.
because they love to do. But she turns to sports to fight for her life, she says.
Oh.
So she goes through the mental and physical misery of competing in races like the Yukon Quest and the Iditarod, which a lot of people are familiar with the Iditarod. Yep. I remember learning about that. My librarian in, was it elementary school, probably? She would always like put up like sleds and dogs, and always she loved it. She was very into the Iditarod, so we would always celebrate it when we had library time.
I love
so
it.
I remember it from that.
I was homeschooled. I don't know what library time was. Anyway.
I suppose. You're different. Anyways, she's entering for the 4th time this year because she says it makes her more resilient in racing and in life going through this. So throughout this, the Yukon Quest, she's surviving sleep deprivation, pain, exhaustion, obviously, from the life-threatening wind and cold. And so I just think about how windy it's been the past couple of days and how difficult and annoying it was to walk to class, honestly.
No kidding.
It's so windy. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to blow away. But I can't imagine, doing dog mushing races. It'd be so windy and so cold. But she says if she can do that, then she'll be able to think of that experience and use that to overcome pain in her personal life. So.
Wow. That's really respectable and commendable, honestly, the fact that she is trying to do something like this. And you always bring these different stories up that I always find amazing. Yesterday was International Women's Day, so we were supporting everything that they were doing, of course, and just celebrating women as a whole too. I found it ironic that you were gone on International Women's Day.
I know.
Coincidence?
We talked about it before. Anyway. Another amazing woman, and she not only has, is really into dog mushing races, but she also has rock climbed across the U.S., hiked the Pacific Crest Trail from Mexico to Lake Tahoe, and worked on an archaeological dig in Italy.
Wow.
So she's very goal-oriented, like the other women we've been talking about this past week. But I just thought that was crazy, her story. And imagine how freezing your hands would be. And she talked about making sure her dogs had like little gloves on their paws from, the ice and stuff because it can be really sharp.
No kidding, yeah. Wow. Super commendable to her, honestly. Like she's made some tougher stuff than I am. I mean, like you said, everybody, when you do the sports thing, when you try to showcase your talents, I guess, in that regards, everybody shows it differently. And doing the sled dog racing, doing this type of a thing, I think is incredible. I think it would be fun to do like a dog sled, sort of like a ride at times, but to do it in this capacity, I think is a little bit crazy. But if you're going to go, if anybody wants to live in a cold climate consistently, I feel like, or even be in a cold climate consistently, you have to be a little insane, I guess.
She knows she's going to be miserable too. She does it for to become stronger. She pushes herself to do this, which I just think is awesome.
I agree. I completely agree. Greg gives us another NFL free agent update. Russell Okongwu signs with the Chargers. He negotiated his own deal, apparently. So Chargers, San Diego, LA, Vegas, wherever the heck they are now. I don't even think they know officially where they are. These guys are trying to go, I'm trying to put my change of address slips in, and I don't know what city we're going to. But they get a strong reinforcement there in Russell Okongwu, so congratulations to them. And I'm reminded as well, too, Blair Walsh was signed by Seattle. So thank you for that, by the way. Tiffany says it's time for her to be on the show, apparently, to straighten me out with my wayward baseball thinking. And I Well, we'll have to see if we can get Tiffany on. Tiffany is actually one of our many talented baseball correspondents, so she will be on Bruce Sports at some point, and I'm sure I will have to allocate the first 8 of her 10 minutes on the show just of ripping me apart, basically, and telling me how dumb Tim Tebow is and how great baseball actually is. So I look forward to it, Tiffany. Really, I do. I'll make sure to have a strong, stiff beer at that point that I can just drink, and you can just rattle on about how amazing it all is, and I'll just be like, sounds good, Tiffany. Thank you so much. And I'll just go boop, and no, I won't hang up on you. I don't have that power. Producers do that, as you can tell. I don't have any other buttons to push over here. I wanted to play a game with you, Teaka.
Okay.
You may or may not have played this game growing up, or even maybe still play it. It's the old classic Would You Rather.
Ooh,
okay, have you ever done the whole Would You Rather quizzes and tests, basically? Mm-hmm. So this is partially a family show, so I'm not going to ask some of these crazy Would You Rathers that have popped up on my screen, but I was going to ask you a couple here that I found. I mean, Would You Rather Thursday, I guess, would be, a lot of people would rather to have a Thursday than a not. So, I mean, would you rather have a continuous Thursday and never get to the weekend, or would you rather it always be Monday?
Thursday. Continuous Thursday.
Continuous Thursday, but never be able to get to the weekend?
Yeah. Well, for me, Thursday is Friday. Thursday's the weekend.
So for you, at least, the rule is like whatever.
So for me,
I don't care.
But if I did have a Friday,
a perpetual,
I think I would still choose Thursday.
That's interesting.
Because I would feel
more accomplished. You get at least 4 of your days of your week instead of perpetually being stuck on the same start of your week.
Just the sound of Monday just makes me like.
It's kind of like that. Kind of like that name Paula. It's like no, thank you. All right, here's a good one. Would you rather always have to say everything on your mind or never be able to speak again?
Oh.
I feel like that would come in partially handy on this show. If you would always just be like, Baxter, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you'd just be like telling me and like just be like, okay, sorry, Teaka.
I think always speak my mind.
Do you generally speak your mind?
It depends on what the topic is.
I suppose.
It depends.
That's
on
fair enough. I get
the
that
situation. But I feel like if you weren't able to ever speak, it would like eat at you. I feel like it'd be so hard to be like, I need to talk.
I need to be able. Yeah, I feel like
I
don't think I could deal with not being able to speak.
Ever in your whole life?
Yeah, ever. Like from this point on, like you never speak again.
I would stick with.
Or you always have to say what's on your mind.
Always have to say what's on your mind.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I would definitely always be like, I pretty much always say what's on my mind anyway. Hence why I say baseball sucks. There you go. I'm not hiding it. There it is.
Yeah.
Throwing that out there. Don't get me started on hockey. Here's your next one. Would you rather be itchy for the rest of your life or be sticky for the rest of your life? Itchy or sticky?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good one.
Itchy or sticky? I hate being itchy. I lived in Florida for 8 years, so I can deal with being sticky.
What kind of sticky? What kind of sticky?
I'm assuming like a sweaty sticky.
Oh, then sticky.
I'm assuming, or is it like I've got gum stuck to me?
Well, that's what I was thinking. So I'm like,
maybe, I don't know.
I was gonna say itchy, but like I wouldn't want to be sitting there like this, like 24/7.
No.
So then I would have to do sticky, but then that would suck too. But if it's just like sweaty, hot, sticky, then I would choose that.
Okay, fair enough.
Better than
I'd rather be sticky than itchy.
24/7.
I would probably itch right through my body, honestly, if I was that. Anais on Facebook says, good job. Thank you very much, Anais. Great. Thank you for watching. An international viewer. I actually know Anais. She's from Spain. Awesome. So great. Thank you very much, Anais. Greg says, Washington officially loses both 1,000-yard receivers after Jamison Crowder and next wide receiver Josh Dockett caught 2 passes for 66 yards. So Washington really is just on the downward spiral. So I don't know why you even want to bother keeping Kirk Cousins at this point, honestly, because Washington's just a hot mess. Yes, Eric, you are correct about that. We did hear that Lacey is meeting with the Vikings and the Seahawks. We talked about that earlier with our NFL correspondent, Greg Schwartz. You can go back and check out that interview earlier on in the show if you want to hear his take about Eddie Lacy as Teaka and those two were chatting about it. And then also, apparently, TJ Lang is meeting with the Lions. Seems to be a reoccurring thing that Packers offensive linemen are going to go to other teams in the division that they clearly know will be even worse. I don't know why anybody... Would you rather... Here's a good one. Would you rather play in a team that consistently makes the playoffs but never wins the Super Bowl, or would you rather play for a team that never makes the playoffs and consistently loses?
Wins the playoffs, at least.
At least go to the playoffs, even though you know you'll never get to the Super Bowl? You're like, we made it to the playoffs again.
I think so.
Still didn't get to the Super Bowl.
I mean, it'd be frustrating, but...
It would.
That'd be something to be proud of.
I suppose so. I want you to think of a would you rather for me, because I've got another one here for you. Let's see here. Would you rather go through life with a perpetual cold sore on your mouth, or go through life with a booger hanging from your nose? Ugh. I don't know about that one. That one I'm a little torn on, honestly, because I've had cold sores before, and they are terrible. Absolutely terrible. But a booger, though, like, I feel like I'm such an affectionate...
because you can keep picking it off? I don't know.
It's just like there, like, I don't know. But then I feel like that would be annoying. Like, you can't move it. Like, it's just there. It's always there. Like, you can't...
But a cold sore?
See, for me,
I feel like that's bigger. And
I'm a very affectionate person, so I feel like either way it kind of screws me because I love to, give people hugs.
I mean, I wouldn't want either.
Well, yeah, obviously, but it's like I'm trying to think of like, well, which one? Like, if people don't know about the cold sore, maybe you can still get away with like giving somebody a kiss or something, being like, okay, like just a nice whatever kind of thing. But I don't know. I don't really like either of these, honestly.
Much screwed either way.
Yeah, you really are, honestly. Okay, last one. Would you rather have hiccups for the rest of your life or always feel like you have to sneeze but not be able to?
Sneeze but not be able to.
Same here.
Hiccups will get annoying.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like you just run out of air eventually. Be like, I can't stop hiccuping. All right, those are my Would You Rathers for you on Would You Rather Thursday. Do you have any for me at all, Teaka?
I'm trying to come up with a good one.
I'm trying to think what might be even better ones, honestly. Would you rather... I don't know. If you've got any good Would You Rathers, drop them in the comment section below. We are, of course, are very thankful to all of you for your continued commenting and support as well, too. I know, like I said, Tiffany probably has found my car, slashed my tires, and set it ablaze in the parking lot, even though she doesn't even live here. But I'm sure by this point she's figured out a way to do that, or she sent in a hitman to do so. So I might sleep at the studio tonight to be safe, honestly. I'm a little worried about my drive home. Jeff says Ted Thompson is such a liar. Oh, we're going to make a splash in free agency. Here we sit watching top free agents going elsewhere. Jeff, I don't know you, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret that Ted Thompson never does anything. And when he does, people lose their minds. Like, he signed somebody. I mean, he re-signed Nick Perry. If you want to talk about that, I guess, but. A lot of people, myself included, agree that he was overpaid. 5 years, $60 million. Seems like way too much money. We let a guy like Micah Hyde walk. He now is playing for the Bills. Eddie Lacy now might be leaving as well, too. TJ Lang. Guys are leaving left and right from the Packers. And I feel like the Packers need to worry about themselves before they can go out and start worrying about other players as well, too, on the market. So Packers need to start, if you want to start signing people, sign the players that are going to help make your team an actual Super Bowl contender next year. In my personal opinion. But yes, I agree. Ted Thompson usually doesn't do anything. If you watched the morning shows today, you heard Bill Schmidt, who was with us. He said that he actually was visiting Ted Thompson this morning and had to go wake him up because he was busy sleeping in a hot tub, and had to wake him up, be like, hey, Ted, like, free agent signing day, man, like, chop, chop, like, let's go do some stuff. And I think Ted still is asleep in there with a Bloody Mary. So Ted has all the fun, basically. Well, I mean, I'm pretty much ready to be done. I don't know about you. You got any other closing thoughts with us or parting words?
Just be ready next time. I'm going to have some good Would You Rathers.
I'm looking forward to it. And it doesn't necessarily have to even be like, life as a whole. It can be sports. It can be anything. I mean, would you rather you host the show for a day? Yes, I would. I think it'd be fun. I think I'd be all about that. I'd be like, all right, Teaka, we're going to talk about The Bachelor and dancing and whatever else. Cute stories about dogs named Arthur. I don't know. Why not? I'm fine with that. I think it's what adds the diversity to happy hour. I mean, I think people sometimes underestimate what the name happy hour means because people think of happy hour like, oh, drinks, alcohol. Like, yeah, we drink, we have a good time. But we also talk about happy things.
Happiness.
As well, too. So... embrace the happiness. Hashtag happiness. I don't know.
Yeah.
We use the hashtag yes drama on the morning show. We need to come up with a hashtag, I feel like, for happy hour. Like, I don't want to be super cliche, be like, hashtag always happy or hashtag, I don't even know.
Smile.
Hashtag smile. Like, I don't know. Maybe we won't go that route, but
no.
Free agency, though, of course, going to be changing a lot. We are going to have Greg Schwartz actually back on Happy Hour tomorrow as well to talk about more of the deals that have taken place by that point. So a very special thanks to Greg for taking the time to join the program today. If you missed any of Greg's interview or you missed a vast majority of the show and are just now tuning in, obviously, hello, thank you for joining us. But you can get the show immediately after we're off the air here on our Facebook page. If you haven't given our show a like, or if you haven't given the page a like yet, please do so. If you saw maybe somebody that shared this, thank them for sharing it, and then definitely go out and like the page yourself, and tell your friends about it as well too. I mean, that's the way Brew Sports continues to grow, is because people like you and you over there, and you back there as well too. You keep liking and sharing and commenting, and that is really what is the DNA of what Brew Sports is. So we are eternally grateful for all of you for doing that. And we look forward to what Brew Sports continues to offer the rest of the world as well too. I mean, we've seen some tremendous growth over the last week, and I couldn't be happier, honestly, with the first official week of Brew Sports officially in the bag now. So a big thanks to you as well, Teaka, for what you've been doing as well too. So, all right, well, a special thanks, of course, again to all of you. Remember to go and like us on Facebook. Go to our website, brewsportsnet.com, to check out all the shows that you may have missed. You can also catch all the shows in podcast form as well too. If you're more of a listener than a watcher, definitely go and check us out that way as well too. So we will see you again right here tomorrow morning on the Morning Brew at 7 a.m. Central Time, live right here on Brew Sports with myself and Jamie Ebers. For Teaka Griesbach, I am Baxter Colburn. Thanks so much for watching Happy Hour. We'll see you guys back here again tomorrow for a Friday edition. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, everybody.